We are here because we share our stories, because we offer real connections, not just business cards, because we decided our success is a doorway for someone else. Today, women hold only 64% of the legal rights that men do. At this pace, it will take 286 years to close the gap. We aren't here to wait 286 years. We can close the gap when we share our how to fuel our now. One lead shared, one resource offered, one introduction that opens a world. When we give, the return multiplies for everyone. You are in a room of builders, leaders, and champions, showing up ready to offer a bold exchange of action or support, and to leave with a new connection, a new lead, a new way forward. We can change our future to one where we all thrive, because we share. Welcome to Be Bold Now. Give to gain.
That's right. I love it. Bring the whoop whoop, bring the energy, bring the fire. Woo! Love it. Good evening, everyone. And it's my pleasure to welcome you all to Be Bold Now London 2026. This is our 4th year of bringing this incredible community together. My name is Kiessi Lamour. I'm part of the steerco for Be Bold for Change UK. And I'll be your host tonight. Very thrilled about it, very excited. But before we dive in, I'd love to invite someone very special to us to officially get things started. Please join me in welcoming Julia Burton-Brown, Country Manager for the UK and Ireland at Taboola. They are our presenting sponsor this evening, that's why we're here. And this is actually your 3rd year of welcoming us into your beautiful building, and we are so grateful for that. Julia, over to you. You want this?
No, I don't need that. I don't have any bloody slides. Hi, everybody. Welcome. We are so thrilled to have you for the 3rd year running. And Mr. Ally over there in the green pants, I saw you last year. Thank you for coming. Need to give you a little shout out. But last year, honestly, was the most fabulous event. It was inspirational. I was laughing. I was crying. And then I was like, Jesus, all these inspirational women, what have I done with my life? And then realized that's why I'm doing the welcome and not a keynote. So welcome, everyone. Now, marketing always like me to try and kind of thread the theme of the event with what we do at Taboola. So give to gain and Taboola, a little bit of a stretch, but I think I've managed it, so just humor me for a second. So I'm going to talk to you about algorithms. Woo! And the fact that give to gain is the ultimate human algorithm, right? Because it's when we offer our support, our advice, our network, our platform to other people, it creates an incredible ecosystem and we lift everybody up. So that's the link. So in the meantime, I just want to say thank you so much to the Be Bold Now crew for putting on this amazing event. Thank you so much to our fellow sponsors. And kick back, enjoy it, and have a great time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Julia. Can we all just give her and all the team at Taboola a massive whoop whoop? Love it. Cool. So, now let's get into it. take a moment and look around you. Like, no, don't look at me. I say look around you. Look around you. This room is absolutely filled with possibility, right? Tonight is about something simple, something powerful, because when we give, we gain. And let's be real for a second. When you look at the political landscape, you look at the corporate landscape, this past year has been tough, hasn't it? Yeah? Oh, just a few of you. Okay, it's been great for the rest of you. Brilliant. Love it. Okay. I'm here for it. Because, in many places and in many circumstances, progress for women and girls hasn't just slowed, it felt like it slipped backwards. Quietly, our voices are being suppressed. And that is exactly why tonight matters, right? Because in moments like these, we don't retreat. What do? We reconnect, we recommit, we rise together. Okay? Together, and that's important. So tonight, what are we doing? We are celebrating ordinary women doing extraordinary things. Real women, not AI bots, real women. Flesh and blood women like you and me who are there doing bold, meaningful, world-shaping work. And this International Women's Day, the theme was what? Give to gain. Oh, just 5 people knew. Wow, okay, that's how your vibe. Okay. Give to gain, people, give to gain. And here's the shift, right? Because when you think about giving, you think about, oh, I'm losing something. But that's not about, that's not, giving is about, it's not a loss, it's a multiplier. When you give, you gain. When you give, you get. So when women give, ideas expand, right? We don't just solve one problem, we start to repair the systems around us. That's why we are called the nurturers. We nurture, we repair. It's not just about us, it's about everything around us, our communities, right? When women give, what has happened? Doors open. Even the ones we didn't know were there. And when women give, entire communities thrive. Everyone thrives, regardless of your gender. And that's the cycle of possibility that we are here to celebrate tonight. So give to gain. But before we go into the festivities, because for me this is a festivity. Well, I'm here to celebrate. I'm here to really rock it, right? Let's be polite because my mama raised me well, right? So yes, my dad raised me well as well, but it's about women, so I have to celebrate my mom. My mama raised me well. So I would like to start by, thanking all our sponsors and the partners who've made this incredible evening possible. I would like to start first by giving a special shout out to Microsoft Alumni Network, our global event sponsor. This year, they're not just supporting our London event, they've also supported our Seattle and Paris B-Bold gathering. How fab is that? So thank you, Microsoft Alumni Network. Can we get a whoop whoop for them? Brilliant. So we're also very grateful for the sponsors who stood with us year after year. I'm talking Pubmatic, I'm talking Look Me, I'm talking Astrid and Miu. Your continued commitment means the world to us. Can we get a whoop whoop? Brilliant. And we are also thrilled to welcome a new sponsor to the Be Bold family, and that is SureServe. Thank you so much for joining us and backing this movement. Can I get a whoop whoop? Cool. But we have the sponsors, but we also have the supporters. These are companies and organizations that always commit to purchasing a group of tickets and bringing more women to this gathering. And a lot of you are here tonight thanks to that. So a big thank you to UTIC, Double Verify, BroadLab, JAA, MIQ, Dailymotion, and Index Exchange. Can I get a whoop whoop? And finally, a heartfelt thank you to MPG and Ginger May for your support with the AV and videography. You help bring the magic of this event to life. Can I get a whoop whoop? Cool. Now, supporters, I need to remember actually the clickers. Cool, so let's kick things off with someone who is truly reshaping the future of healthcare and investment. Yes, people, I said investment. And get ready to be dazzled. Because Dr. She's gonna hate me for saying this, but Dr. Efia Basoa is a health strategist, an investor. Yes, people, investor. It's not just men investing. And she's a co-founder, are you seeing right, of Fern Capital, a venture capital firm. Did you hear me? Venture capital firm, bringing bars. You know, this is serious business, right? Backing women's health innovation across 3 continents. She spent 2 decades influencing global healthcare systems. And now she's directing capital. Capital means money, people. Money into spaces that have been overlooked for far too long. Tonight, she's here to show us what happens when you invest not just money, but belief and commitment into women. Please join me in welcoming, the indomitable Dr. Efia Basoa for her talk.
You were outrageous.
The Odyssey of investing in others.
Oh my God, the pressure. I don't know who she was talking about. There we go. Well, hello. A pleasure to be here this evening, and even more so because I'm about to embarrass someone. My 17-year-old daughter, Naima Grace, is here. She sees many facets of who I am: the mum, the wife, the daughter, the sister, and I'm sure she has adjectives for each of those. But rarely does she get a glimpse of what I do professionally, and so I really wanted her to be here today. And she, along with my son, and actually the next generation, have become my anchor in terms of my professional choices and decisions. So thank you for being here, Naima. Embarrassing you was first on my list. Clock it! Now we can proceed. Okay. I'm sorry, darling, I'm sorry. So who am I? And what has shaped my journey? I'm a mother of 2 extraordinarily special human beings, my proudest work of art and my love letter to society. I'm a frustrated potter, because I don't get enough time to do it. I'm a neuroscientist by training. 26 years ago, I completed my PhD at Oxford and really spent a lot of time investigating the effect of oxidative stress and aging on neurodegenerative disorders. And it was my love. I love science, and I loved science, but I didn't want it to just live in journals. I wanted science to live in the real world, which is why I moved into storytelling. At Ogilvy Health World, I spent nearly a decade translating super complex, well, maybe it wasn't very complex, it was complex to me, complex science into something more human, something usable for doctors, for patients, for healthcare systems. I learned how to make information not just understood, but felt, which to me was incredibly important. Later, as a managing director, I had what I now call my crash course in humanity. At the time, I think I called it Chaos on Hell on Earth. I was leading an organization through transformation, whilst keeping the lights on and the business running. I was young and certainly unprepared. But it taught me something really fundamental and really important, that the core of all systems is people. And people are beautifully messy and bloody annoying at times, but beautifully messy. And that experience taught me actually a fundamental truth, which is I seek discomfort. I seek it because you can't avoid it, and you need discomfort to learn and grow. Then came a defining moment. On my day off, whilst I was still a managing director, I needed a day off. And in the day off, not to go to a spa, I decided to attend another conference. And the conversation was about making healthcare more accessible and the role of private sector in doing so. I was excited by that conversation because something internally clicked. My North Star in that moment had been super clear to me. Healthcare should not depend on your postcode, your income, your education, your sex. It's your birthright. Yeah. And in that moment, I knew this is where I belong. I resigned from my managing director role the very next day. My husband nearly divorced me. I didn't consult him. I was feeling bold. I went home and told him I'd resigned. And I joined a company called Rayburn Martin, which it still is, a management consultancy focused on global health and the role that private sector have to play in ensuring accessible healthcare. I led the European team for about 5 years. I loved it because I learned that no single actor within any healthcare system holds the key to progress. We all need to come together to ensure that a solution doesn't suffer what I call pilotitis, which is it works really well in Manchester, but does it scale to the rest of the UK? Does it scale beyond UK? The most recent pivot has been my pivot into investing. And I'm going to be really honest with regards to why I've pivoted into investing. It is out of nothing but frustration that I've pivoted into investing. The frustration of a few irritating stats. Women are 51% of the global population. We make 80% of healthcare decisions for families. Yet, 4% of R&D funding is dedicated to understanding our health. 4%. We navigate systems designed by men for men. And this isn't about male bashing, by the way. I'm just speaking facts. And as you may well know, women are not small men.
Shots fired.
This is a massive market distortion. And with less than 3% of capital allocators, i.e. investors, being women, you can see where the gap is coming from. So instead of staying frustrated, I got to work. And in May 2025, actually our 1-year anniversary is next Sunday, we launched Fern Capital. And it is a $25 million fund. We are investing in clinically validated, tech-enabled women's health solutions. And we're doing that in UK, in Europe, and 4 markets in Africa. Because being a transnational, I wanted a dual strategy. So if I invest in ventures here in UK and Europe, I want those founders to think about how will those solutions reach those in Global South? And those in Global South who are developing some incredible innovation, I want them to think about how will this innovation serve women in Global North? We have been doing this for just up to a year, we've made 3 investments, 3 incredible investments. I was going to talk about my best investment, and then I was reminded not to pick a favorite child. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to say 3 incredible killer investments, each of them. But we've just started. We've just started. But this work is deeply personal. When I was 18, I learned that my biological mother died during childbirth in this country. She was 23, and I was her first and only child. She gave me life, or she gave her life, rather, so that I could have mine. This is her mother, my grandmother, who's 98, living in Ghana. She is so cantankerous. Don't be fooled by the cuteness. Don't. And in Ghana, the healthcare disparities are so stark. Between these 2 women, my mum, my gran, exists a spectrum of health experiences. And my work sits in the middle of that, trying to bridge the gap, one investment at a time. One of the greatest blind spots, not just here, but everywhere, in my view, is health literacy, not understanding our bodies, not having agency of our health, because access to health alone isn't enough. Understanding is power. So what does it mean to invest in others? Your time, your talent, your treasure. We all have something to give. Wow, it's not yet blinking mad. Apparently this starts blinking. I've been so worried. 30 seconds to go. Come on, people. Come on. I will leave you with a quote by Martin Luther King Jr. that just yesterday, whilst I was attending a global health policy meeting in New York, a very dear mentor of mine highlighted as a forever catalyst for the work that we do in this space. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Health inequality, health inequity is not distant. It is for all of us. So the question is not whether you can make a difference, it's how you choose to make a difference. Look at that! Come on! Thank you. I didn't go over time.
Do the black people time. Can we get a whoop whoop? Yeah. So now, thank you very much, Ifia. We're going to stay on the theme of health, moving from investment into women's health to maternal health. And our next speaker saw a system that wasn't working. I mean, when it comes to women, what actually does work? Let's be honest. And she chose to rebuild it from the ground up. Mary Carmen Sanchez Morris. Yes, people, I speak many languages. She began her career as a pediatric intensive care nurse, and today she's the founder of Matresa, a platform transforming health in a world where women's health, as we've heard, is consistently underfunded and underserved, as we've seen with Ifia. So Mari Carmen is creating real change for mothers, for families, and for workplaces. This is what bold looks like when compassion turns into action. Please help me welcome Mari Carmen to share her powerful story. Welcome, Mari Carmen. What motherhood made me build?
Thank you. Thanks very much. Wow. Just catch my breath. It's already started time. My name is Mari Carmen. I'm a mother of 3. Arthur is 9, Florence is 7, and Archibald will be 3 next month. And I started my journey as a paediatric intensive care nurse. So this is all about what motherhood made me build. So that is a picture of me with my Archie, who will be 3 next month. And that's the photo of where it really started. So my story started there, but it ends this is where my story ends today, but it didn't start there. So I want to take you back to when I was 14 at secondary school. So I'm not from London, I live in Leamington Spa. I went to a Catholic secondary school. Primary school was always quite pleasant, I've got lots of fond memories, but then went to secondary school and found it really hard. Found it very hard to make friends, found that I had to fit into spaces that I didn't really feel that were my own. And I always remember the dinner hall, a big, big room like this with blue walls. And it was lunchtime and I had to go and find somewhere to sit. And I didn't have many friends. I was like, where do I sit? So standing in front of here today with all you people, I've had to do a lot of work to overcome this. And that was really, really hard for me. And throughout my whole secondary school life until I reached sixth form, I found that I had to really change shape to fit in, with those friendships. And I always felt that I wasn't enough. Anyway, I went to sixth form. Sixth form was much better. Graduated from sixth form and went to Nottingham University to train to be a children's nurse. And I did my studying at Queen's Medical Centre in Nottingham. And I started, had my boyfriend at the time, got there, and I absolutely hated it, not because I missed him, I just hated living in halls. So my parents bought me a Fiat 500, which I still drive now, and I would drive up and down the motorway to my shifts at work. Because when you're nursing, if there's any nurses in the room here, going to uni, you're not drinking, you're studying and you're working long hours. So anyway, I did that for 3 years. It was hard, but did it, and I graduated with a first-class honours degree. I then went to work at Birmingham Children's Hospital because I knew that's where I wanted to work, a prestigious hospital. And because I like a challenge, I started my career on paediatric intensive care, and that's where I stayed for 7 years, looking after some of the sickest children. But throughout my time, I always knew, I was always looking for the next course. I was always kind of made for more. But during that time, I looked after lots of children, and one little boy, I'm going to share that story with you now. His name was Ben. And he spent 9 months with us in and out of PICU and the oncology ward. And he was sadly diagnosed with liver cancer after just a freak cold that manifested into a rare cancer. And he did pass away, bless him. But during his time on PICU, he wasn't always ventilated, which meant we could have quite a lot of conversation. And I built a lovely relationship with the family. But he was so strong, no matter what was given to him, he just carried on. And I think I always look back on Ben when we're so busy in our lives and we're striving for the next goal, I think sometimes we can really lose fact of what actually really matters. And actually, Ben, no matter what he was thrown, carried on, and it just really teaches us of what actually really matters, and it's your health. I then married my husband, who I've been with for now 18 years. He's a firefighter. I was a nurse. And then we went on to have our first child when I was only 25. At the time, I was still nursing. So I spent my career for looking after very tiny babies, but that's when I became a mother, and that's when I really changed. But that's when the system stopped seeing me. My baby was cared for, but I wasn't. So I had an emergency C-section via a general anaesthetic and was discharged home only 24 hours later. And I was only 26, so wasn't awake for the first cry, wasn't awake for the first feed. It was quite a traumatic experience. Luckily, I was okay, but I did know I wanted to have an appointment with the birth listening line so I could make an informed decision for my second child as to whether I would go for a VBAC or a C-section. But it took 9 months. Anyway, during my postnatal journey, I didn't get much support with my own health, so I thought, well, I'm going to create this. And I had friends at the time that were photographers that had their own business. They were like, just start. Anyway, so I started my health and fitness business that was called Mary Carmen Fitness. You can still see it. It's still around, but my husband runs that now. And over the last 8 years, we have supported over 1,000 mothers. And every story from the mother is the same. No one prepared me for this. No one checked on me. The system failed me. So anyway, during that time, I was like, I'm going to build an app that everyone can access. And it was a fitness app. But that wasn't enough because content isn't care and an app wasn't a system. I was like, no, it needs to be more than this. It needs to be clinical grade. It needs to have an action at the end that a mother can, something they can get from. And that's where Matressa was born. So I knew I'd have to go out and get investment. So I went and pitched to loads of investors. It took me about 12 to 18 months. I was a nurse. I had no idea what I was doing. I thought I was ready. I really wasn't. But I got it. So in February 2025, I was about to sign my investment, and something happened, and it got taken away, like that. And meanwhile, up to our eyeballs in debt because I'd bootstrapped my business. My husband was a firefighter. We've got 3 kids. Firefighters don't earn lots of money, as you're probably aware. And this investment was going to give me time to be able to build the business, pay myself a little salary so I could concentrate, but it was gone. Went home, my mum was looking after my 3 children and my husband was there. And I cried. I was like, what do I do? And for a week, I sobbed. And I thought, do you know what? I really leaned into my Catholic faith. And I thought, do you know, there's a reason for this. Whenever you're faced with something, there's a reason for it. And Matressa was not what it was 12 months ago as to what it was now. So actually, that no was a huge redirection. And I'm so grateful for it now because the business as to what it is now is so much better. It's so much more. We know exactly what we're building. And we closed our round in January with the same investor. So we raised £315,000 of venture capital and angel investment to get us on the road. And we're launching this summer. And what we're building is a clinical grade maternal health platform that sees the mother, health and work all in one place because they can't work in silos. It has to come together. So I wanted to share 3 wisdoms. So number 1, the no that breaks your heart is often the thing that saves your life. Often when you're given a challenge, it's very easy just to think, oh, that's it, stop. But actually, there's always a reason for it. And when life is against us, I think we've just got to lean in and just think there's a reason for this. And it's still, even today, I still follow that. Number 2, the little girl in the dining hall isn't the enemy. She's the reason. Now, I've got 3 children, a boy, a girl and a boy, and I look at my daughter. When you said that was quite emotional. And she's only 7, and I'm like, do you know what? I don't want her ever to feel that she's not good enough, and she's the best that she can be. She should never feel that she needs to change shape to fit in. And yes, that little girl is still here now. You know, we've all got childhood trauma, and a lot of the time you might just push them to a side, but actually we have to bring it together. And she's still there, but she's, you know, she keeps me grounded and she keeps me humble, and she's also part of the story, and this is quite a good story to tell. But at the time, didn't feel like it. And number 3, boldness isn't loud, it isn't fearless. Boldness is the quiet decision to stop changing shape. So this isn't just my story. What fuels me is actually the change that I'm so committed to do, because every mother is being told to cope. If there's mothers in the room, you will relate to this. You're told to bounce back. We're praised for being superheroes. We're praised for being resilient. But resilience isn't healthcare. The system was built this way. It isn't your fault. I'm not building a product. I'm building the infrastructure that motherhood has always needed, but no one's ever done it. For every mother who's felt invisible, for every mother told she was doing amazingly whilst quietly falling apart, and for every woman who walked into a room and didn't know where to sit, this is for you, and you can absolutely do it. So to close, the girl in that dining hall didn't know any of this. If you'd have said to me when I was 14 I was going to be an entrepreneur and raise venture capital funding, I would have laughed. But you know what? I did, and I kept going, and that's the only thing boldness has ever really been, and something that I really live by is it only ever fails if you quit. As long as you keep going, you pivot, there's going to be bumps in the road, you just have to keep going. Now, I will ask for a shameless ask. We're launching this summer. There is a QR code there. We are commercialising into B2B2C, so we're looking at working with organisations as a maternal health benefit whilst we navigate the NHS, because we all know that's very difficult. So if you work for a company and you are C-suite senior level and you think that you could do with better maternity support, then get in touch. And if you are an investor as well, we do have a round open. Please come and speak to me. But yeah, thank you very much, and thanks for this opportunity.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. No isn't always refusal. A no isn't always denial. Sometimes it's redirection. That is so powerful. Ifia, Mari Carmen, you need to talk. This is what this room is also about, right? And since they were talking about becoming bold, you know, sometimes the boldest move is choosing to start again. Who's with me? Okay, only 5 people. Now, I'm going to do that again. Because this is not the room where you suppress yourself, dim your lights, and censor your voice. So I'm going to need you to help a sister here, okay? Bring in the fire, I said in the beginning, bring in the energy. So I will say that again. Sometimes the boldest move is choosing to start again. Who's with me? That's more like it. Now, our next speaker is Nicole Blythe. She walked away from a successful career in digital advertising. This is my industry, y'all. Nicole, you'll have to tell me why you left, because maybe your sister needs a help, right? And she left to transform early years education, inspired by her son and driven by a deep, deep, deep commitment to inclusion. Today, she's creating environments where difference isn't just accepted, it's celebrated. Oh, this is music to my ears, and it warms my heart. Because when we redesign systems for the people who've been most excluded, everyone benefits. And I know what I'm talking about. So please, you need to get used to this, people. Welcome, Nicole!
Thank you.
Thank you. So Nicole is going to talk about His Silence, My Voice, A Journey to Truth.
Yeah, mouthful, I know.
Yeah, no, but it's a powerful title. Take it on, girl.
Hello everyone, I just want to start. I am so humbled to be here with all these inspiring stories and to have this opportunity to share my own story. So I'm going to start with a quote that's very close to my heart. And it's by a person called Alan Turing, and some of you may have heard of him. And Alan basically said, sometimes it's the people no one can imagine anything of who do the things no one can imagine. Now, Alan saved millions of lives when he broke the enigma for the German ciphers, which then allowed the Allies to go on and win World War II. He saved millions of lives by doing this, and yet he was personally persecuted because he didn't fit the system of his time. I'm now going to take you to a moment in your life where you have felt less than. It could be that you have invested lots of time and energy into multiple job rounds for a job that you really want, and in the end, you didn't get it. It could be as simple as you've gone on a date, you really fancy someone, the next day you text them and they ghost you, right? You tell yourself it doesn't matter, but it does. And what do? We replay it in our minds. We question ourselves. We may feel sad, even angry, but ultimately we shrink just a little bit. And then we process it and we eventually move on. Now think of that moment, not as a moment, but as a feeling, as a pattern of thought felt every single day from the age of 4 years old. That was my son, that was William. So my family came to the UK in the 1950s as part of the Windrush generation. They were not wealthy. They arrived here with just their suitcases, with hopes and beliefs that their children can have a better life in the education system over here. The mantra in our family was very simple. You work hard at school, you work hard at university, you get a good job. And that was how success was painted to us. And that is what my siblings did. My brother became a doctor, and both of my sisters are lawyers. And then there was me, the baby of the family. And I pride myself in doing many firsts that my siblings didn't do. I was the first to fail my A-levels. I was the first to go into a university and choose a course that didn't sound like a real degree. I mean, what on earth was business and marketing, I was told, which then translated into, well, at least she's at university. And then I did, which most of us do, I graduated, I got a job. I got a job in digital advertising. I mean, again, back then, no one knew what the hell that was. But hey, I was getting paid, and it was a lot of fun. I ended up at Microsoft, leading a global creative tech team. And yes, we were the ones responsible for freezing your screens. You're welcome. I met my husband there, we got married, we built a home, and life was good. And then I had my first child, I had William. I should have known that William was always going to do things on his own terms by the way he was born. 6 hours flat, no time for my carefully thought out hypnobirthing plan, no time for painkillers, boom, you're handed your baby, welcome to motherhood, now basically get on with it. By the time he was 3 years old, William was diagnosed with autism and ADHD. By the time he was 5 years old, he'd only just learnt how to speak, but even then it wasn't like his peers. Now, when you look at William, he looks like all the other boys and girls. You couldn't see his challenges. What you could see was a child that zoned out when you spoke to him because we were using too many words and he didn't understand it, or he was hyperactive and running around because he was overstimulated by his environment. Now, suddenly, I was living two truths. On the outside, I had succeeded in this system. On the inside my home, I was watching someone that I deeply love struggle to fit in, struggle to understand, and struggle to belong. You see, every day, William was going into a building that measured him on his weaknesses. And every year, for 6 years, I would have a knot in my stomach every time I would have to go to parents' evening. I would go to these evenings and see these parents having these productive conversations with the teachers on the growth of their child. And every year, I was being told the same thing. Your child is not working towards age-related targets, i.e., your child is not good enough. And when you hear this year after year, and you live it day by day, you become smaller and smaller until you have no voice. And then one day, I was randomly reading, and I came across the Alan Turing quote. And something in me ignited, and I awoke. And I realized it wasn't William that needed changing, it was the system that needed changing. And I started looking at all the rigid structures that we have in our education institutes in this country, and realized that if I wanted to see real change in the education system, I had to be part of this change. So, at the age of 40, with 2 active young children, I went back to school and I re-studied in early years education, and I became a special education needs teacher. Early intervention is key. You see, by the time a child is 5 years old, 90% of their brain has already developed. So it is in this window a child learns that they're either a talent to be nurtured or a problem to be solved. So 6 years ago, I founded Imagination Preschool, and my vision was to have a curriculum that every child could access despite their learning style. We have a very visual, creative curriculum, and we incorporate the senses, so what they can see, touch, hear, etc., to create a 360 immersive learning environment so that every child can thrive and every child can be the best that they can be. Now, just by making these small adjustments to the way that you teach, you can celebrate all children's unique strengths and focus less on the barriers to learning. No child will ever come to Imagination Preschool and ever feel that they are too much or not enough. So anyone that knows me knows that I'm not shy of using my voice. But what this situation with William forced me to realize is that the voice I had been using for the majority of my life wasn't actually my own voice. It was a voice that had been conditioned from the system that I was living in. And through William's silence, his stillness, that allowed me to reflect and to turn off all the noise around me and to really realize and hear clearly for the first time what my true voice was and what my true purpose was. So if you know someone like William, or you feel like William, where you feel disconnected, you don't belong, lost, that's okay. That's not failure, right? It's in those moments when you feel you don't belong, those are the moments where the greatest ideas are formed, new paths are forged, and real positive change can happen. Now, like how Alan Turing didn't fit into the system of his time, despite his great work, William doesn't fit into the education system of our time. But that system has greatly underestimated William. Before I show you a short video about a glimpse of his journey from his eyes, William will be on our national TVs at the end of summer, and he's using his platform to really inspire other children like him that there is hope, that with the right support and guidance, they can shine. So hopefully this will work.
Hi, I'm William. I'm 15 years old and I've been playing the piano since I was about 2. I didn't start speaking until I was 5, and even then it took a while to catch up with the other kids. So instead, I used the piano as my voice. I found it hard at school sometimes, listening and focusing what teachers said in lessons. But when it looked like I was staring out the window, I wasn't daydreaming, I was conducting whole symphonies in my head. While other kids were learning algebra, I was composing my own piano etudes in my imagination. I know what it feels like to be different, so you're not alone, to fidget, because sitting still all the time feels impossible, to zone out when things don't make sense, to be left out because you can't communicate like everyone else, to feel like you're always behind. But I've learnt that being different isn't something to hide, it's something to embrace. I don't try to fit in anymore. Instead, I let the world fit around who I am. Music gave me a voice. I want to help other kids like me find theirs too. I am you and you are me.
Thank you.
This nearly brought me to tears. Being different, whatever your definition of different is, isn't something to hide. It's something to embrace. And I hope when you leave this room tonight, you remember those wise, kind words from William. And from reclaiming your true voice and finding your true voice to reclaiming power, that's the transition that we're making now with Natalie Collins. She is the CEO of Own My Life. And her work has helped more than 20,000 women rebuild their lives after abuse. What she does is raw, it's real, and it's truly transformational, helping women understand what happened to them, reconnect with their strength, and step back into their brilliance. This story is so powerful that it was made into a BBC documentary, and I recommend all of you to watch it. This is a story about truth. It is a story about courage, and it is a story about taking your life back. Please! Join me in welcoming the incredible Natalie Collins! Natalie is going to talk about her story, Bring On the Joy. And she's got the trousers for it.
I feel like I just want to take you everywhere with me to just make sure nobody is ever going to fall asleep, are they? Like, you're just like, oh, here we are again. Women, sisterhood is so powerful. And it's not a term we use much anymore. It was a really big part of the early women's movement, talking about sisterhood. And we've sort of stopped talking about it. And I hope we haven't stopped doing it, but isn't it amazing to be in a room full of sisterhood?
Oh!
you. I'll take all the claps. And I created something called Own My Life, which is a way of working with women to create transformation and enabling women who've been subjected to abuse to take back ownership of their lives. And the reason it's called Own My Life is because men who are abusive fundamentally believe they own their partners and they're entitled to do what they want to them. And so when we work and support women and when we're on our own journey of recovering after what men may have done to us, there is a need to regain ownership of our lives, or for some of us, gain ownership of our lives for the first time. And since 2020, as you were saying, 21,000 women have gone through an Own My Life course somewhere in the UK or Ireland. And women tell us that the course has saved their lives, has changed their lives. And what we really want to do is build literacy, a bit like Ifia was saying, literacy about abuse, literacy about what's gone in our bodies and brains, and literacy to make sense of those lives. Just to let you know, the timer hasn't started, so just like, I'm not seeing a timer, like I'm just going to keep going. I was going to tell you, and then I'm like, no, better really. And so, sorry, I feel like I just was, and so, we've trained police officers who are delivering Own My Life for police, female officers in the Met Police, female staff. A lot of female officers are married to male officers, and if that male partner is abusing them, they are dealing with police-perpetrated abuse. And we've seen that be transformational. Women who are not leaving the police force when they were going to, women seeking promotion, and women advocating differently when women are reporting crimes of domestic abuse. We've seen it work amazingly for learning disabled women and for women who are in addiction recovery and Irish traveller women and women in corporate contexts, because actually all of us need to go on a journey of owning our lives regardless of what has gone on for us. And before I wrote the Own My Life course, I wrote a course called the Day Programme. And since 2011 have been training practitioners to work transformationally with young people to do preventative work around abuse and exploitation. And this is a quote recently from a 17-year-old boy who'd got sucked into the manosphere because his school did an assembly on Andrew Tate, you know, like the gateway to this. You know, like we have to be really careful about becoming Andrew Tate's marketing campaign. Do you know what I mean? Like sometimes. So, and what he said after doing Day was, I have so much more respect for women and girls. History in today's society does not give them a break. I have already safely and non-judgmentally called out mates on their so-called jokes and banter. The influencers on TikTok, etc., just melts. And that was through a youth worker. Working with that young person to help them to recognise that what they thought was true was not. And so the Day programme, it continues to work to do that. And I wrote the Day programme when I was 25. I'm now 41 and a grandma, everybody. I know. And I wrote the Day programme and the Own My Life course, really, but the Day programme specifically for 17-year-olds me. I'd grown up at 17, I'd grown up in a Christian home, and so there was lots of stuff around faith that was complicated, and some of the things I'd learned about faith, about relationships, I'd learned that sex was a chocolate cake. You put it in a fridge, you stay right out of that kitchen. Don't be going for the chocolate cake. Now, the problem with that is actually we're not being taught whether you were going into that kitchen and having a little, snaffle of that chocolate cake, or whether someone is dragging you in that kitchen and force-feeding you that chocolate cake. And so at 17, I'd also, things like 10 Things I Hate About You and Cruel Intentions were the films of my era. Like, I feel like now I've arrived at a point where there's only some people in the room know what I'm talking about. And those films are about how a good girl saves a bad boy. And those really influenced my understanding. And so when I met a boy, his name was Aaron Swan, and when I met him, I thought, well, he was really beautiful, and he was also really manipulative. And within 6 months, I was pregnant because I'd gone to a Catholic school, didn't learn about contraception. And when you think sex is chocolate cake, it's not teaching about contraception, everyone. Note to everybody here, teach your kids about contraception. Also, my mum thought, she read the Daily Mail and she thought the pill gave you cancer. So if there was a recipe for becoming pregnant at 17, I was like right in the centre of it. And so, He made me hate myself. He made me think that I was worth nothing, that I was stupid, ugly, and fat, and that everything that he did wrong was my fault. He made me do everything imaginable sexually, and I was compliant because I thought doing it with consent made it somehow not as bad. And I ended up in a really very, very traumatized state. This is me when I was 17. I know I had long hair. And there's a few women who say to me, why don't you look like that? You used to look so much nicer. It's really interesting, isn't it, that as women we're pressured to look a certain way, isn't it? That we have to look and conform to particular things. And so when I was 19 and he was also 19, he got convicted of sexually abusing a teenage girl after I reported him to the police, and he was put on the sex offenders register for 5 years, which meant I became married to a sex offender, and I got punched in the face by a neighbour on one occasion, guilt by association. I reported him to the police for abusing another teenage girl, and I was asked by the police officers involved, don't you think it's time you stopped introducing him to teenage girls? And when I was 6 months pregnant with my son at 21, my then husband, thankfully now ex-husband, raped me, and my son was born 3 months premature, and we had to live in a hospital about an hour and a half from our hometown. And I was thinking, Mary-Carmen, when you were talking about working with tiny babies in paediatric units, it's a particular life to look after babies who are very, very sick. And so we lived in a hospital with my 2.5-year-old and a very sick baby for about 5 months. And when I was in that hospital, I ended up reporting him to the police for assaulting me, but during the time he was on bail, he manipulated me into sleeping with him. And so when it went through the court case, he was found not guilty, and I became very, very traumatized. I ended up on a really high dosage of antidepressants, and I was essentially quite mad. And I ended up with loads of resources that helped me to recover. I had loads of trauma therapy. I had friends and family who supported me. But most importantly, I learned about feminism, and I learned that my experiences were not personal, they were political, and that I was part of, that it wasn't just that I was subject to this abuse in an isolated bubble, but I was subject to it because of a wider system of power, because of what I'd been taught about sex being like a chocolate cake, because of the films and the magazines and the messages that had been around the society that I lived in. And so I managed to recover. I got remarried, very long story. It was to a man, I should say, because some people have watched the film and thought that he turned me into a lesbian because of how I look, but he actually didn't. One of my daughter's siblings, she's 14, and her friends were like, so did he turn her into a lesbian? Nobody became a lesbian. Anyway, so just to let you know, so I married a man, and we've been married for nearly 20 years. I always feel honoured when anybody thinks I'm a lesbian, because lesbians are the brilliantest women, but you know. And so I did recover and got better. And I had opportunities to work with women in groups. I had opportunities to do a theology master's, actually, and to start to build faith communities that can support women. And I wrote Day, and I wrote the Oh My Life course. And then in 2021, my teenage daughter did what teenagers want to do, ruin your life. If you are in the stage where you have a teenager who's want to ruin your life, I know some of us have got great teenagers, stick it out. They're not going to be like that forever. And I promise. She's great now, she's 22. And so she contacted him on Facebook, and I got catapulted back into his life, and I discovered that he had been serially raping women for 20 years while on the sex offenders register, and nobody had held him to account. And so I ended up working with the other women that he'd abused, well, 3 of them, and I supported them through a court case in which he was finally found guilty and put in prison forever, everybody! Yes! And he tried to divide and conquer women by turning them against each other. And that's what the world tries to do, turn us against each other. And we have to fight against that. And my life is incredible. I'm doing a PhD. I have the most awesome grandbaby. And at least a quarter of us in this room have a story like mine. And at least, you know, all of us know a quarter of the women in our lives have got a story like mine. And so I wanted to say, and I wanted to bring on the joy, because actually I didn't get justice. Some women did, and I sleep a lot better knowing he's in prison. But we can always have joy. My middle name is Joy, actually. Like, actually true, that's true. And so to be bold is to be joyful, regardless of what life throws at us, and we have to go through all of the healing we need to do, but we can own our lives and we can live with joy. So I hope that as you go from here, you don't go, oh, that woman had that sad story. I hope you go away and remember that there is always joy, regardless of where we find ourselves. So thank you.
Oh, we have the same name because Kiese means joy. Yes. So it's all about joy today, right? And for our teenage girls in the room, be bold for girls, please remember, sex is not chocolate cake. Or it's not. Just saying that. And being a feminist doesn't turn you into a lesbian. You can be a lesbian if that's your choice, but it doesn't necessarily turn you into a lesbian. That's ignorance. Thank you so much. That was a powerful story. Sex is chocolate cake. Sometimes it can be, but it's not. Now, still on the topic of sex, but different arena. Here's a bold idea that proves that even the smallest and, yes, most frustrating inequities are still absolutely worth fixing. We women, after all, we give life. So Hazel McShane and Amber Probyn are the co-founder of P-Cool. You heard that right, P-Cool. The UK's first squat and go women's urinal, redesigning public spaces through the lens of gender equity. They're tackling something every woman has experienced, not squatting, and somehow no one has ever solved. Why would they? We're women, after all. They're driven by a simple belief that better design creates better opportunities. Because when you fix everyday inequalities, you give women back time, you give women dignity, you give them freedom. Please? You better get used to it. Help me welcome the amazing duo, Hazel McShane and Amber Probyn.
What an intro. Thanks, my love. Thank you so much.
Wow.
Yeah, go ahead.
Gosh, I feel giddy. Crumbs. Big breath.
Yeah.
All right, thank you so much, everybody. Can I see, by a raise of hands, if you've ever waited in a long, never-ending female toilet queue? Can I put any hands up? Okay, and can you put your hand up if you've ever waited for anyone else waiting in a long, never-ending female toilet queue? Right, I think that's like most people here, and we can relate to that frustrating problem. So, as introduced very wonderfully, I'm Amber, this is Hazel, and we're the co-founders of Pequal. Pequal makes the UK's first squat and go women's urinal, and we are passionate about bringing equity in areas where women don't have access, especially in sanitation. It is a human right. It is fundamental, and we want this to be a normalized standard facility for all women everywhere. So yeah, we are going to talk a little bit candidly about our stories, some of our stories that have brought us here today, and we're going to touch on prototyping, funding, impact, and who's helped us along the way. But bear with us, it might be a bit chaotic. That's a little bit like us. So yeah, let's go.
Thanks, Amber. Okay, so Amber and I grew up on opposite sides of the country, but weirdly had quite similar childhoods. We were dreamers and schemers. I guess I was building dens, Amber was building go-karts. We met in 2016 at Bristol University. Back again. I was studying physics with innovation, Amber anthropology with innovation. By fourth year, our lecturers were like, you solve a real world problem. And we knew straight away what we wanted to do. We'd spent our university summers working at festivals, in bars, in festival food, and we got stuck relentlessly in those 30-minute toilet queues. And we thought, surely there had to be a better way. So we did it as initially a research master's project, but I guess 6 years later, it's got a little bit out of hand.
So let's tell you a few stories about prototyping, because that really is the nitty-gritty of how we got here. Way back at the start of this journey, we did cardboard prototypes, cultural probes with the public, but what was really significant was the first live event we went to, which was at Bristol Comedy Garden. I don't know if anyone's from Bristol, but a fantastic event, and we managed to get so much insight from just speaking to women about this taboo topic. Lots of intrigue, and everyone can relate, but no one really talks about it. So we had loads of data from that event, but one key thing was that we also had an interview with the BBC journalist, and that catapulted us to the front of the BBC for about 3 days and about 3 weeks of media coverage off a very scrappy prototype. This is something that I welded up. Hazel sewed the walls for it. We had no money at the time, so it was all scrappy stuff. I think one of the comments on the articles was, "It looks like a piece of scrap," and it was like, yes, it is, thank you. So what it did give us, as a result of that quite embarrassing demonstration, was about 30 very interested customers from Japan to the US, to all across Europe, and we were able to go into that investment rooms, mostly men, and say, we have proven demand and we've got loads of credibility with PR. So it was a really big starting point.
Yeah, and we really weren't going to go. We didn't want to show our scrappy prototype, but a female mentor of ours was like, put yourself out there, and we are so glad we did. That experience also enabled us to have our first ever customer be Glastonbury Festival.
Whoop, whoop!
Way back in 2022, Glastonbury was 3 weeks away, but 3 weeks before the show, our manufacturer said the product wouldn't be ready. There was no way we were not going to go, so we ended up building the product ourselves. We roped in mates, we got Amber's stepdad's son's garage, and we created a production line where we created the product out of scaff metal poles. It was insane. We got to Glastonbury, we were on the one show, we had the hundreds of thousands of women using our design. It was honestly a dream come true.
It was mental, wasn't it? I think we paid them in fish and chips and a lot of beer over their weekends. So yeah, we made it happen. And we definitely learned a lot of tenacity during that time. I think we were about 20, 21. And yeah, when you get that no from a manufacturer that you're putting your trust in, you're kind of like, well, who am I to think that, actually, no, I disagree with that. It can be done. So that was a big learning curve for us at that point.
We wouldn't have got where we were today without fundraising. So we have raised in total £1.5 million. Thank you.
Thank you.
As well as lots of grants. I want to initially zoom in on the biggest grant, the biggest kind of pocket of money that really changed the dial for us. So grants were in quite a few different places. Our first grant was 200 quid from a university. Then we got a grand, I think, from HSBC. But then we got 10K from another university, not even ours. So there's so many grants out there, that small-scale ones that you can access. And this enabled us to build the first working prototype that we could take to customers. I just wanted to bring up this story that there's grants out there that can help take your idea into a small reality before you go get investment.
Absolutely, and I think one of the key things we learned when we had that experience was that people really believe in you, and I think that 10K felt so big to us because we had nothing at the time. And it's the belief that someone thinks, you've got this, you can do this, you've got a good idea, and I want to see it work. We didn't have any sort of large business backgrounds, any family members in that space, so seeing somebody really believe in that gave us the confidence to then step forward. So yeah, we want to pass that confidence on today and continuously through Pequel. More recently, this time last year, we were in a very different financial position. We were doing our third investment raise. If anyone's done that, it's pretty grueling at the moment. The landscape is pretty dry, and it was about a year in the making. So we had about 2 months runway left, which is, if you don't know what runway is, it means that you just don't have any money left after that date. So yeah, we're about to turn the lights off. We had a small team, maybe 4 or 5 people, who, you know, we're paying their pensions, they have children, you know, it's big responsibility. And yeah, we didn't have any money to go. So what happened, what really helped, there was an article released about our story in the Financial Times. And after that point, we managed to hit that target group of investors. We had about 25 investors reach out to us that legitimately wanted to help. And in a matter of maybe 1 month, we closed under £1 million. Just under. Yeah.
We also want to demystify it, that was so juicy. And, you know, on that, it was amazing luck. And we managed to get all those people to come to us. But we really did kiss a lot of toads. Frogs?
Toads or frogs?
Toads or frogs. Said no, laughed out of boardrooms. Less than 2% of private equity funding goes to female founders. Most investors, especially in the early days, laughed us out of the room. We'd try and put it from a male perspective, but still, there's not a big enough market. No, thank you. Now we have over 8 female angel investors on our board.
Whoop, whoop.
Incredible women.
They're incredible. Yeah, so I guess what does the prototyping and the funding all lead to? So the impact. So over 1 million women have now used Pequel. We're coming up to our 6th-year anniversary. We hear on-site stories all the time of 8-year-old girls saying, I'm going to use the strong girls' toilets, or I want to be a women's urinal director when I grow up. These are real stories. And also, like, people commenting stuff like, oh, they've really thought about the design. There's a handle and a coat hook and la, 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 la. And that has really mattered to us because it's really gratifying to see what you're putting your effort into actually shift people's experience of the world they live in. Literally in seconds, the before and the after is so significant.
Yeah, the most common word we hear is liberating, and it's just the fuel that keeps Amber and I going. As of probably 2 weeks ago, we have now gone global. So we have customers in Japan, Norway, America, Ireland, and inquiries from a global audience. So we are going to help women and girls get out of queues, make their time just as important, and enjoy their lives. We are so unbelievably proud of this journey, but we definitely didn't get here alone. Like Amber said, we're not from backgrounds of design, investment, and so many women, our mums, so many communities have helped us demystify. We've had mentors that explain what is a cap table, what is private equity, and we basically want to give back. So please come to us after this talk. Any questions you have, we want to see the built environment have so many more voices be heard. Because if you demystify it, you see it, you can change it, and we were supported. So just thank you so much for this event today.
Yeah, thank you.
Honestly, it's the audacity for me. Like the sheer audacity, right? We are more than what? Around 51% of the global population, but yet we're still considered not a big enough market? The audacity, anyway. Let's move on. So, we've just heard a talk about, putting yourself out there and how, you can be helped by your community. And sometimes what we need is just someone that will give us access. And I think this next talk is what it's all about. Because our next speaker is an award-winning cultural strategist and entrepreneur and a force for change. Chloe Davis has been recognized, are you guys sitting down, as one of LinkedIn's top 50 inspirational Black women in marketing. Respect. And she has been named on the Campaign Magazine UK A-list. Not B-list, not C-list, not Z-list like some of us. A-lister, people, for the past 3 years. That's proper A-list. That's not a fluke. It's proper A-list, right? She's the growth partner at Unmistakable and the founder of It Takes a Village. Doesn't it just? Right? She's working at the intersection of business, culture, and leadership. Alongside creating career pathways for Black women to access opportunity, she helps global organizations and brands grow with purpose. Please! Welcome the remarkable Chloe Davis!
Thank you.
Chloe is going to talk about...
Oh, stop!
My voice was never the problem.
Never,
you got that
ever.
right.
Never, ever.
Take it on.
Thank you. God damn. These lights. My ADHD is going very real. I don't know why you asked me to be in this position, because I think I've seen every facet of my life, my children. I've got very neurospicy babies, ADHD, realness, and also I talk a lot, so this is going to be really, really interesting. My voice was never the problem. Some of you may have heard parts of my story before. I've been around for a hot minute, although I don't play there. But what I've come to realize is that I wasn't telling it in the right way. Because my voice was never the problem. I've always had one, clear, expressive, bold. But I didn't grow up wondering if I'd ever have a voice. My part was where I was told, be quiet. And so I have a very different story to a lot of other people. So I'm going to invite you into my house. We're going to talk about the first room. I was a gifted child. I am a gifted child. I'm super smart. I'm one of those really annoying kids that I'll learn it before the exam and I'll ace it. Sorry, not sorry. I was ahead. I was capable. I was ready. I had the opportunity, although I lived in the back end of civilization, which was Walthamstow in the 80s, to go to a school in Kensington and Chelsea because my mum worked there. And so instead of doing year 4 at the age of 9, I did year 5, I did year 6, and then because I'm born on the 1st of September, and although I was super smart, second smartest person in the year, the comment was, we're not prepared to change the rules for a little black kid. Now, we would change those rules. In fact, we have. Our gifted children go to universities and schools at 7, 4. But then that wasn't. So I had to silence myself. For a year, I had to repeat. They wouldn't let me go to school, although I got in. And people that I hadn't been friends with for 2 years, I suddenly had to fit back in, and I forgot what it was to be this kid that loved to be smart and to learn and to live in education. And I suddenly turned into this girl that just wanted to fit in with people that I hadn't been with for the last 2 years. And so I wasn't the best kid. I did get into the girls' gang. I come from an African family, so that really didn't go down very well. But I used to tell this story as a place of frustration, as this was my first hurt, and this was my first harm. I'm grown and sexy at 43, going on 44. And so now I see it very, very differently to the way that I told it before, because that was the first time that I realized that the system doesn't just support progress. It was designed to control it. Welcome to my second room. This one's a bit more personal, and so I live in a world where I'm going to caveat cautionary tales. When I was 14, my best friend in the whole world, our family used to call us Pinky and Perky, and it was my 18-year-old cousin, made an active choice, and this is my language, and he made a choice to not be here anymore, and he completed suicide. So I did what I was always done. I did what I was taught. I come from a really amazing family. I spoke my truth. I used my voice. And it was just a little bit too hard for my family to take, for the adults to hear. I went from a child of love and life to a child adult. I can see some heads nodding for those who understand. And my parents told me to be quiet. And so suddenly the very thing, the fuel of my Bentley Continental GT 2.1, because that's my aspirational car, suddenly my tank was empty, and they basically told us, pull off to the side of the room and don't say anything. And it wasn't strangers, it was my family, it was the people that I trusted most, and for a long time that made me really, really quiet. But it taught me that the environment shape what we're allowed to say. And so for 10 years, I lived in silence. I internalized everything. I didn't lose my voice, I just stopped using my voice. I just stopped using it fully. I learned how to hold things in, how to filter, how to be the version of myself that other people wanted me to be, how to cry quietly by myself in the toilet, and a whole host of things that as women we are taught to do, especially if you went to an all-girls school, and that is another talk. But from the outside, it probably didn't look like silence, but internally, it was. And that's the part that we just don't talk about enough, about having a voice. That isn't the hard part. What we don't talk about enough is how do you keep it? Because every time you choose to speak fully, there's always a calculated risk. Will this be received? Will I be understood? Will someone else tell me to be quiet? Will someone else use my silence as a weapon? Will someone else steal my voice because it makes them look good, but they don't want to take me on the journey? And I realized that there is always cost, and it might not always be a public cost. Sometimes it's an internal cost. And the difference is that some people absorb that cost quietly, and some people don't. And what I had been taught to suppress is actually the very thing that brings about change. So welcome to my third room, the realization and my present tension. How do I say this in a way that works for everybody else? And I stopped asking myself that question. And I started asking myself, what happens if I don't? Because the truth is, even now, just because you know you're great, excuse my French, really fucking great, doesn't mean that every room sees it that way too. Because you have a voice. It doesn't always mean that you're given the space to use it the way that God, the universe, whatever it is that you believe in, that's your born innate right. No one else can take that from you. And you are supposed to use it. But you're not always given the space to use it. And that's the tension. That's real. So, See, I'm really good. I'm on time. My friends in the audience, like, we're very proud of you. So I made a decision not to be dramatic. I'm not dramatic. I'm a magnet for drama. Again, that's another conversation. To reframe loud, because I'm a baddie. And you know what? Sometimes baddies are loud. It is what it is. But I'm going to be unequivocally clear. I'm not going to shrink to fit into places that were never, ever designed for me. Welcome to the Matrix. And I've always been unplugged. I'm not going to dilute myself either. And I'm going to keep reminding myself that having a voice isn't the hard part, it's keeping it. So I would like, in the words of, I know he's slightly problematic right now, but in the words of Jay-Z, allow me to reintroduce myself. My name's Chloe Biola Davies. I'm growth marketing partner for the Unmistakable. I am the founder of It Takes a Village Collective, and I come from a family of pioneers. My dad was the designer for Carnaby Cavern in Carnaby Street for the rich and famous. He really was that guy. I will show you pictures of his flares and all the other things that he designed. My granddad spoke 14 languages. He came to the UK on a boat with my grandma, and she used to run the maternity department at Bedford University. My great-granddad and my great-great-granddad on my granddad's side were the king and prince of Freetown in Sierra Leone. So I need to stop playing with myself. But I want to end on my why and my pioneer, who is my mum. Her name is Olutoyin Ololade Nicola Shidari Davies. And my mum was the first department manager for John Lewis Partnership, first black one. The reason why we have a Dame Sharon White is because my mum went first. And she introduced what is now the nursery department in John Lewis. That was her. So if you wonder how and who and why I am the reason that I am, is because she did that. And 30 years later, I'm owning why I am the way that I am. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Wanda. Oh.
Can I get a whoop whoop? Nah, that's cold. Can I get a whoop whoop? Good. Listen, Chloe said it. Baddies, we are baddies. Welcome to the fucking Matrix! Can I get a whoop whoop? Cool. Well, we're almost getting to the end of our event. Our party. The men don't want us to party all night. I'm joking. But, yeah, it's almost the end. And it's time, please don't go anywhere. I haven't said it's the end, I said it's almost. It's time for us to honor the women who made tonight possible. The visionaries behind Be Bold for Change. Nikki Smith and Kate Eisler are co-founders, and they've spent more than a decade building a global movement that empowers women and girls to find their voice, step into their power, and create meaningful change within their circles of influence, whether that be your family, your friends, your companies, whether you operate in politics, whatever. Their work has touched many around the world. You can just see this room tonight. And they're here tonight to remind us why this mission matters, now more than ever. And if you doubt that, just look at the news. Please join me in welcoming Nikki and Kate! Woo, woo, woo!
bottle you? We all need to take you home with us this evening. Oh, gosh. Well, thank you for being here. I can't believe this is our 4th event in the UK and the 3rd in this fabulous building. And thank you, Julia, and all your team for having us. It is amazing. And I feel like I almost know every single person here. Do you?
I do.
Yeah.
It's so fun to see all these faces.
Yeah.
I love it.
So, have you got the clicker?
I do.
Good. You're in charge.
So, never has she ever said that before. Sort of taking me back. So there's a couple things that we just wanted to talk about, and we talked a lot about why we're here. And you know, one of the things that we see all the time is women supporting women, truly. And I am a huge believer that that will change the world. And so when we come together with International Women's Day and really think about what women can do for one another, there is a very difficult environment for all of us globally right now, and we know that. But the more we can come together, the better off we're going to be. And so this year, one of the things that really happened with the theme of Give to Gain, it really hit a home for us. When we started to think about the things we give, and so you heard about raising capital tonight, and you heard about, you know, giving each other time. And really, when Nikki and I think about this, we think about all the things that each of you can give one another. You can give your time. You can offer your networks. You can give the richness of friendship. You can help one another to succeed. And I'm telling you that the minute you do that, the better your life will be immediately. Because we are a network. We are half of the population. And come on, ladies, we can take them.
I think we're the better half.
But we really wanted to just bring this up and say, you know, you have heard from incredible women tonight. I mean, I feel so fortunate because every year we think, oh, how are we going to top that? And yet, we hear incredible women doing amazing things every year. And so really want you to walk away from this evening and think about what you can give. What's your introduction? What is your friendship? What's your connection? What's your time? You know, spend that minute when someone calls you and says, can I just talk to you? Can you introduce me? It'll be shocking what you can gain. So I want to encourage you to do all of that.
And just to add to that, I think women over-index in giving. Right? We give people our time. We give them our attention. I'm also going to challenge you to ask for what you need. Next time someone says, could you spare 30 minutes to share your wisdom on X? Say, think about what they could do for you. Could they give you feedback on your product? Could they review your social media strategy? Could they educate you on how to build an AI bot? Whatever it is you need, make that ask. If you're going to give, make sure you make the ask to gain. So before we leave, I did just want to say thank you. It takes a village, literally, I think it's been a year, to bring this event about. We're all volunteers. Very few of us get paid, and certainly we don't get paid.
We got in this to make a lot of money.
Which is why I'm wearing the same dress as I did 4 years ago. That's another story. Be Bold. So we have a UK steerco. We have these amazing women who connect me and the rest of the team to speakers, to sponsors, to volunteers, and without them, this event wouldn't be the success it is. Be Bold girls. Wasn't Priyanka amazing? Oh my God. Priyanka is the product of Be Bold Girls. That's our youth program. So we have two programs. This one, Be Bold Now and Be Bold Girls. And you heard about what that program is doing, like Girls on Track. We need those programs. And by coming here tonight and paying for your ticket and for our sponsors, that's how we fund those programs. Volunteers. We've had so many amazing volunteers tonight. If I've missed somebody, I'm so sorry. The spreadsheet was long. And also, MPG and Ginger May, thank you. You've seen all the videos that were going on today, and MPG, all the great crew at the back of the room. And Noah, thank you for your photography. I've seen you around and about, and thank you very much. And then if you could just press once or twice more, our speakers. Somebody always says to me, what makes this event special? It's them. They're everyday women doing extraordinary work in service of women and girls and other members of society. It's them that make this event so special. So thank you to every single one of you. You are our heroes. We have one more speaker to come. I think I've just got to do a couple of other thank yous. Thank you again to sponsors, Taboola. Obviously, we wouldn't be here without you. But all the rest, Microsoft Alumni Network, first global sponsor. That feels kind of like a milestone. Pubmatic, SureServe, LoopMe, Astrid Mayo, Ginger Bay, and MPG. Thank you for your faith and support in us. We really cherish it, and we don't take it for granted. And then this year, we also have some amazing supporters who committed to the program and bought 10 tickets. And so that really helps us. In fact, we were oversold. We were sold out 2 weeks ahead of the event, which was a bit nerve-wracking because we'd felt like we might have not enough seats and space, but one more click for that. And so thank you, every single one of you. We really appreciate you. So now I'm going to hand back to the amazing Kirsay, who's going to introduce our one final amazing speaker.
Can we get a whoop whoop?
A whoop whoop. Oh, sorry, I have one public announcement that I forgot. So we still have some amazing books from Helen and her memoir. And so if you'd like to take one, if you haven't collected one and you pre-purchased one, we also are accepting donations. If you forgot to purchase one, we're also accepting donations to the organisation. And Helen will see you outside after she's closed our show. But first of all, I'm going to hand back to Kirsay.
Okay, thank you. Can I get a whoop whoop? That will become your war cry. This, before going to a meeting, can I get a whoop whoop in your head? Whoop whoop, and then you're ready. Listen, we're almost getting to the end, but we've kept the best for the end. Am I allowed to say that? I don't know. Anyway. Tonight, we've heard stories, right? Stories of courage, stories of resilience, stories about innovation, stories about community, stories about confidence. And the real question that I have for you today is, so what? What are you individually going to do with it? Because inspiration and whoop whoop without action means jack shit, right? It doesn't create change. It just doesn't. And what I would like to do tonight is really encourage every single one of you, because you are not an island. You can't succeed on your own. So I would like to encourage every single one of you to leverage and nurture the connections that you've made here tonight. In the spirit of give to gain, give when you can, and ask for help when you need it. You are ordinary women, and you can do extraordinary things, but you are not super women. You need help. You need your community. Give to gain. And that's how really, change begins, right? When women back other women, one bold step at a time. And it's sad that in 2026, we still have to encourage women to support women. The reason why, or one of the reasons why, the mosaic of politics and the boardroom doesn't change is because men don't need encouragement to support men. So as you live here, remember that we are a sisterhood. Back yourself and back other women. And with that, I'm going to move us into the stratosphere. We are moving into legend status. That's right. But I'm only going to do this introduction if you give me a whoop whoop. To close out this incredible evening, we have someone who understands the power of humor, storytelling, and absolutely bold truth. Helen Lederer, writer, yes please, comedian, and founder of the Comedy Women in Print Prize. She has spent her career opening doors for women's voices and championing the brilliance of women in comedy. And you would agree, she's brilliant. I didn't grow up in the UK, but I've seen some of her stuff, and she's hella hilarious. She's here to leave us with energy and perspective and a reminder that being bold doesn't always have to be serious, but it always, always matters. For the last time tonight, brace yourselves. Please! Join me in welcoming the legendary Helen
Thank you so much. I feel I've been here for a day. Do you? It's just, do I have to? No, I've had a word with the man down there. He's just going to press things when he feels like it. Because I couldn't quite, well, that's a good way to start. Anyway, what an amazing introduction person you are. I feel a bit like Prince Charles. Did you see the news, with Trump? And there's Charles behind him looking, no, really. Did you see? Anyway, so being bold, I was taking notes over the most amazing effing speakers. I mean, honestly, I had no idea. I mean, that sounds rather theatrical. Darling, I had no idea. But I had no idea. And I'm just going to just say, our first speaker, Dr. Afua, gender gap whisperer, I would say, absolute inspirational person, global health and money person. Marie, risk taker for good health for new mothers meeting a real need that no one else had ever done. Bella and Priyanka, I've said that wrong because I'm slightly dyslexic, but then let's join the gang. We're all like that. Girls on Track, car dominatrix. Bloody hell, fantastic. Nicole Blythe, tech superstar, champion of education change, making being different a good thing. My God, that was resonant with me. Natalie Collins, game changer in education of abuse victims. Saw her on television, she's amazing. Amber and Hazel, changing bottom taboos. My God, we needed that. Entrepreneurs, campaigners and networkers taking over the bloody world. Not that I'm jealous, we'll talk about that later. Chloe Davis, stunning campaigner who was silenced and led the conversation brilliantly and uniquely. So I haven't left anyone out apart from the bosses, have I? Can we just clap? You're not the only person who gets people clapping, but you did it really well. So so I'm going to be really bold because I didn't really get what the whole thing was. And it isn't, to be honest. And it wasn't like a gig. I thought it might be a gig. You know when you said I should ask for what I want, could I have £2,000, please? Because I'm a bit strapped. And it's not like one of those gigs where you have to, you know, like a thing where you give awards for people and then you have to sort of put people there and you put people there, you know, for car parks and stuff like that, which I have done, nothing wrong with that. This is about sort of exposing yourself for no gain, except no gain is gain. They're nodding, the philosophers there. So it's not what I do, actually, ever. So I'm a bit out of my comfort zone. And I came in quite a bad mood. I was a little bit iffy to a few people. I said, well, this is very corporate, to Joanna. And after I'd insulted a few people, I calmed down, I settled down, and I sort of shut the up and I've got 3 wines on the go. I met lots of lovely people on the way in, and so my bold gesture back to your boldness is actually to be completely unprepared. Yeah, slightly, not so funny now. But I'm not prepared. I'm just not. Because you haven't got autocue, not complaining, but without autocue and without, I'm not doing a tour at the moment. I was in the West End just showing off slightly because I can. Did you see Fawlty Towers? Anyone saw? Right. So you know, I do know about learning lines and not bumping into the furniture, trying not to. But I just thought, no, okay, fine. So mustn't swear. They'll edit that out. So I followed your wonderful speaker last year, Dawn Porter. Wait, stop. Dawn Porter. And when I said Dawn Porter, obviously I meant Gail. And that's what this is about. It's about cooperation, lifting each other up when we up. Anyway, her opening remark, was, I had 3 wines, free. She said, hands up who's been sectioned. That was her first opening line. I don't know if anyone did raise it. So I can't compete. That's another subject that we have to bury or embrace, women in competition. Anyway, so with touring my book, and thank you, some of you, it's called Not That I'm Bitter. Obviously I am. There's some irony in the title, but I am very bitter. Been doing this for 40 years now. Not this is the first, clearly. So you go and you do these tours and people say, so were you always funny? In a slightly accusatory way. It's not very comfortable to have a woman who is announced as a comedian. And I mean, it wasn't my title because it involves, somebody else said the word audacity. It doesn't sit. It doesn't really sit that well. And it certainly didn't sit that well when I started. But people say, you know, I did this interview with somebody from The Guardian for the book, and I got very excited. I got somebody from The Guardian in my house, and kind of showed off a bit, and then I thought she's going to be writing like Helen walked the kettle in an ironic manner, you know, just like everything was like, and she said, she'd read the book, which I thought was nice, and then she said, but aren't you angry? And I thought, well, I am now. Should I be? When I wrote the book, I don't think I was angry. And that's why expressing yourself, as we've done, and actually from the heart, you learn so much. I wasn't angry at the time because you get born into the time you're in and the family you're in. You've got no control over that. But I was funny. I mean, I just was funny. Maybe that's being different. I had asthma, that was the thing. And when you get asthma, and then the doctor had said to my mother, for God's sake, she mustn't get overexcited or she'll die. So my mother called overexcited showing off. And so all these resonant, all these channels of all of the, you know, we're all here with all these differentnesses, but in common. So if somebody says you must not laugh or you will die, obviously what do I want to do? I want to laugh all the time. I want to get hysterical. I want to get into this kind of nirvana of hysteria, like, you know, like those people in Fez, they just get into a state of, like, I just wanted to laugh all the time and make everyone else laugh. It was a kind of disease. And it does, because I had to miss a lot of school because of the asthma, I had a lot of time to come up with some really good games. And I had a really good sanitary towel game. But anyway, you need to read about it. No, that's awkward. But nothing happened. We just all called ourselves Dr. White, Dr. Green, Dr. Brown. It's not that funny. It's quite sad. Anyway, and so the thing is, I got into trouble at school, and then I did manage a stink bomb campaign, which I felt was giving pleasure to other people. It was a beautiful thing just to see people walking into assembly, and then nobody knew. You know that thing about humour when nobody knows but you know what's going on, but they don't know you know? I mean, that is the beauty of humour. And then the teachers would have to pretend they hadn't this amazing smell. And anyway, somebody snitched on me, so we all got detention. And then somebody said I should own up. I thought, why own up? So, I mean, we had detention. So I lack moral fibre as well. So I'm just saying, it's important to embrace these things in yourself. So comedy. So I got into the comedy. No, and then because I was a people pleaser, there's another thing that some of us have, because my father didn't come from England. So to be English, he said, you know, when a boy asks you to dance, you should say yes, because it's rude to say no. So obviously I said yes. When I meant yes, and yes when I didn't, because it was a lot quicker. Anyway, that's a pre-Me Too joke, which maybe didn't land, which we have to get advice on. But but language evolves, and I'm probably the oldest person in the room, and I embrace the evolution of language, particularly in humour, but also the right to be who you are and to talk about your own life and your own experiences, because that is what, you know, defines who we are. Anyway, so what happened? Asthma, I've done asthma, stink bombs, covered that, quite deep this. Oh my God, no! I was going to ask you, okay, comedy women, I've got like, they've lied, you did that on purpose. Okay, I can't believe I've done this. Comedy women in print, there is no prize for witty women authors. I set this thing up, and we have, like you, changed some lives, created careers. The winner of the unpublished comedy novel becomes published, and then the witty women authors become celebrated. And we do an event like this, but not in such a big building. It's in the Groucho Club with a lot of alcohol all the time. Not that I'm complaining. But I do understand what it takes to put something on and get very overexcited and nervous and tense and probably, like me, say the wrong things. But if you would like to talk to me about comedy women in print, we're going again, and I think witty commentary gets you heard. If you did a maiden speech, not that any of us are MPs knowingly here, but you know, you get heard. If you are funny, if you're humble, but you're audacious and you're arrogant and you're all these things that all of us are because of how we were made, humour is for the first time being used as a tool, I think, in society. And it's been overlooked because socially we're not, 7 seconds. We were never traditionally accepted as the leaders of storytelling. Anyway, that was just that, and done that. And I love you all, you're amazing, particularly the front row, but also the second, third, and fourth. And where's the wine, and is there music? And what happens now? Will somebody else take me off and give me a large drink? I don't like, no. You. Music. Cover me, come up, speak. Oh, I'm going to be there with my books. I'm going to be out there with my books.
Amazing. What an amazing way to end the evening. Thank you, everyone, for coming here tonight, and we look forward to you next year.